Hello and welcome to the Zonta Club of the Santa Clarita Valley's Life Forward Workshop, Challenges of Motherhood, Recognize Inner Wisdom and Improve Relationships, presented by Tosca Stepter. We also have California State Assembly of the 38th District, Assemblywoman Suzette Valladares joined us at our workshop this morning. And we also have our sponsor from Charles Wine Company and fellow Zontian, Charisse Moore. I am Beth Heiserman, president of the Zonta Club of the Santa Clarita Valley. If you have any questions during the presentation, please type them in the chat. Please send any questions and we will be able to answer them at the end. To make all of our guests comfortable today, while we're recording this workshop, we have privacy settings. Feel free to click on stop video to disable your camera. This presentation will be recorded live on Facebook and will be uploaded and available to view on our website. Please feel free to share this with friends and family. We are requesting that everyone remain muted. It will only record the host. Please visit our past workshops on our website at scvzonta.org. Sorry about that. And now I present Phyllis Walker, chair of our Life Forward Committee.
So welcome everyone to Zonta's Life Forward Workshop, Challenges of Motherhood, Recognize Inner Wisdom and Improve Relationships. And it gives me great pleasure to introduce our speaker, Tosca Stepter. Tosca is a training and development expert with decades of experience in promoting positive family experiences and dynamics. She has worked cross-sector in healthcare, education, for-profit and nonprofit settings, serving various roles from board member to program development and performance improvement. She is a champion of parent engagement initiatives, working with organizations like Jack and Jill of America Incorporated, Girl Scouts of the USA, and UCLA's Parent and Family Association. Tosca holds undergraduate and graduate degrees in nonprofit management and leadership, in addition to being a doctoral candidate in organizational leadership and development. Wow. She is a member of two amazing young people. And now, Tosca, the stage is yours to share your expertise with us.
Wow, welcome everybody. I am so excited about this workshop. And I'm just delighted and humbled that I would be asked to be a part of this forum. I'm going to jump in and get started. And I thought about what my clear intention for the day was. And I felt like if everybody simply came and felt uplifted, found their joy, put a little pep in their step, and they felt completely celebrated as a mom when we were done, then our goal would be fulfilled. So I'm going to get started. It's a little interactive. I'm going to ask you to be very active in the chat. I'm going to give you a few moments to actually think about the questions that are being asked. And then I'm also going to give you an opportunity to answer. And that's going to be what will start our discussion and an interactive hour. But I wanted to start with something funny. And so I'm going to share my screen. And we're going to start with a little video. So we're going to first.
Oops. You're muted.
I want to welcome everybody again. Okay, let's get in a celebratory mood. And I want you to start with answering this question in the chat. In one word, what's your motherhood philosophy? One word. I'll give you a few moments to answer in the chat. And Beth, if you could start letting me know what people are saying.
Absolutely. Nurture, patience, love, understanding, acceptance,
We'll take a
support,
support,
salutation, empower, compassion, gratitude, and I think that's about it.
Okay. One of the things I love about that, summing up your motherhood philosophy in one word, it's amazing the characteristics and the things we actually attach to motherhood. Every single one of those words actually made me smile, and I found myself building an imaginary t-shirt as I was listening to them. My motherhood philosophy, if I were to sum it up in one word, it would probably be grace. I have the grace to do the job and the role for which I'm called in this moment. Thank you for sharing, everybody. I want to start with one moment. I want to start with something funny. So we're going to recognize the inner wisdom. I'm not going to guide your wisdom. I want that wisdom to come up. And we're going to improve relationships as we go through. But more than anything, we're going to celebrate you today. It's going to be a day of honor for mothers. I thought we'd start with something funny. This morning, as I was getting dressed, I heard the perfect line. And it said, "May all your tears from this point on be from laughter." And I just loved that when I heard it. So we're going to start with the agenda for the day. We're going to go over the things we're going to cover, and then I'm going to show you a short film. I'm very much like my mom in that regard. I love using films and videos for just about everything. I find a way to put them in every workshop I do. So we're going to start with an opening video that I thought would be kind of funny for everybody, and it's called Stuff Moms Never Say. Then we're going to move on to prioritizing what's important, maintaining a sense of self, being present, creating healthy family dynamics, celebrating the gift of motherhood to your family, and finally, we're going to end with a closing video just for the moms. So let's get started with stuff moms never say.
Bored. I wish I had something to do. Thanks for letting me sleep in, kids. If you make a mess in the kitchen, please let me know so I can clean it up. Raising kids is so easy. I just love driving around all day. Oh, I never have to repeat myself. They always listen so carefully. Oh, look. An empty box of cereal. Love it. Just wipe it on your sleeve. It's pretty cold, but you don't need a coat. Oh, you don't have to push in your chair. Don't make your bed. You're just going to sleep in it again later. I think I'll skip the coffee today. You know, these throw pillows look way better on the floor. I'm really not that busy. Well, you haven't showered in 3 days, but I think you smell great. We do have food at home, but let's just go out to eat. Just brush your teeth whenever you feel like it. Here, take my phone charger and go put it in your room. Oh, just leave your dirty dishes on the counter. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. All right, let's all pull out our phones. Youth sports are so cheap. Braces are so cheap. School fees are so cheap. Hey, can you come call in bed with me around 2 a.m.? Thanks. Okay, I just spent 2 hours making dinner, but if you don't like it, that's fine. Just let me know and I'll make you something else. don't even bother looking for that. I'm sure it's lost and gone forever. Can somebody please throw something at my head? I mean, I can keep track of every single one of your things. I get a ton of sleep. I get a ton of gratitude from my children. I get a ton of unsolicited help with the housework. Oh, you don't have to hurry up. We're going to be right on time. Can someone please throw something at the TV? Thanks for doing the laundry, everyone. I'm sorry, I can't hear you. Can you use your outside voice? Fight, fight, fight. The floor of this vehicle is so clean, I can't believe it. Oh, good. Another trip to the grocery store today. Let's go. Hey, I'm going to hop in the shower. Does somebody want to come use the bathroom while I'm in here?
I hope you enjoyed that video as much as I did. When I look at it, I've looked at it over and over and over again, because depending on what stage you are in motherhood, you can relate to every single component of that video. And it made me laugh. So I hope it made you laugh, and I hope you enjoyed it. We're going to start today with prioritizing what's important. And I want you to take a few moments to think about that, prioritizing what's important. In the chat, I want you to write your top 3 priorities. What are your top 3 priorities? And we'll give you just a few moments to contemplate it, answer it, and put it in the chat. And then Beth, if you could do the same thing you did previously,
Sure.
share what's coming up. But we'll give you a few moments to think about it. What are your top 3 priorities? Let's see what comes up.
Relationship with my husband, son's well-being, taking care of myself, relationship with my kids, God, family and career, myself, my family, my community, caring for my family, my faith, and my community, praying with children, being present, creating memories. Love child, uplift child, and prepare child. I think that's it.
Wonderful. There is no right answer, but there are a couple of people who kind of hit on a key note that I'd like for us to think about. Prioritizing what's important. I know that my mother has been an amazing role model in this regard. And as I get older, I'm like, you know, I heard something a long time ago that said the older you get, the wiser your parents become. And what I realize is while I can't give you the answer to your top 3 priorities, one of the points that I'd like you to walk away with is something to think about. When I think in terms of priority, I think in terms of what I can outsource and what is not replaceable. And whatever is not replaceable tends to tick up in my list. So as we go to celebrate motherhood today, I recognize that as a mother, you are actually not replaceable. So I would hope that anything that can be outsourced can be outsourced. But as we celebrate motherhood, we recognize that there's only one or a person that actually operates in that role. And we would hope that you yourself at some point make it to the top of your priority list. So we're going to move on to the next slide. Maintaining a sense of self. Answer in the chat. This is one of my favorite questions ever. What brings you joy? Think about it, contemplate it for a moment, and write the answer in the chat. When we think in terms of maintaining a sense of self, why do we connect that with joy? What brings you joy? Let's give you a moment to think about that and share it in the chat.
My kids, family, my family, connection, share experiences, my family and faith, quality time with loved ones, my kids and grandkids, laughter from my children, connecting and laughing with my kids, seeing my kids proud of themselves. The sound of my kids playing together, my fluffy cat, date nights, roller skating. Personal time, quiet time, discovering inner talents of self and family, dancing, finishing goals, laughing with my daughter, spending time with family and friends, and making an impact. Traveling, that first sip of coffee in the morning, my coffee is actually still at my right hand. And I think that's it. Oh, mine too.
Wonderful. When we think in terms of maintaining a sense of self, what brings you joy? The interesting thing about it is, even as you were sharing what brings you joy, if the components of the things that bring you joy, I felt that my soul was smiling. There's just something about thinking about what actually brings us joy that makes your soul smile. And whenever we think in terms of the busyness of a mother, all of the responsibilities that we have, all of the different components that come with that role in our lives, maintaining a sense of self simply can be actualized on a daily basis when we just remember what brings us joy. Because the more joyful we are, the more joy we're able to bring into the atmosphere. And the thing that I think is so amazing about what brings you joy is it sets you up to navigate what comes your way on a daily basis. So I loved listening to what brings you joy, because a lot of times we'll answer in third party. We'll talk about what brings everybody else joy. So the key component was you, what brings you joy. because the more joyful you are, it radiates and it affects everybody and it's contagious. All right, we will move on to the next slide. Be present. Be present. I'm actually going to let that one sit there for just a few seconds before I actually even look at the chat. I want us to sit with that one for a minute. I want us to be present with the be present. Okay. Answer in the chat. Are you a multitasker or a single tasker? Think about it. Contemplate it. Answer in the chat. And before you answer in the chat, the reason I said I'm going to be present with the words being present is because I know already everybody was already ready to chat. So are you a multitasker or a single tasker? Let's share what people think or what they most identify with.
We're getting lots of multitaskers. There isn't enough time in the day, but for many things, but work on being single tasker is important. I have one single tasker here. Trying to break the habit of recovering multitasker.
That's funny.
And a few more multitaskers.
I liked a couple of things. I'm going to ask you to, if you put down multitasker or single tasker, a couple of people that actually elaborated. Let's have a few more people elaborate. What do you think is the difference? And there is no right answer. And if your answer is good enough, then I'll change my question. So there's no right answer. What is the difference between a multitasker and a single tasker? And do you think that a single tasker is actually possible? Let's hear what you have to say about that.
Well,
Come on, boys, let's get
I
on.
said
Come on.
single task because while I have many tasks on the list, I know that the best way for me to get them done is to do one well at a time. So I try to single task within specific times so that I can accomplish many tasks.
Yeah, good.
I love that. And Dr. Moore, thank you for sharing that, because I got a chuckle because you're so focused in this space and I can hear the soccer behind you. I love that's perfect. That's classic. Anybody else? Let's hear whatever anybody else has to share.
Yeah, we have from Suzette, it's like cooking. You need to make the main dish and sides at the same time in order to serve dinner.
I love that.
Love what Dr. Moore just said. The difference is productivity.
Mm.
My brain feels calmer when I multitask, but it can be hard to limit or block out the distractions. Calmer when I single task.
This may also stimulate more conversation in the chat. There's a couple of things that I heard that I thought were really interesting. What is the difference between productivity and busyness? I'm going to throw that one out there. What is the difference between productivity and busyness? Let's see what people have to say about that one. I love the thinking. I can feel people thinking about it.
Mhm.
Productivity and busyness.
We have busy equals chaos and headache. Productivity equals quantifiable result. Completing a task versus keep coming back. Productivity is the stuff that helps me reach my goals. Busyness is the stuff I do to avoid doing the things that will help me reach my goal.
I wanted to focus in on the person that talked about cooking dinner, because one of the things about motherhood that I think is so amazing, and I love this forum, is sometimes it's so good to just get amongst other people who have your same roles, because then you normalize what everybody goes through in those spaces, and then you can kind of laugh at yourself. I think I heard somebody talk about dinner. And the interesting thing about dinner is I find that when I just focus on dinner, I get it done. The prep time is very quick, and I go from one thing to the next. If ever I'm multitasking while I'm making dinner, I find that I miss steps. I forget to put the pepper, or I'll taste it and I'll be like, oh my goodness, I forgot the salt. And I love cooking. But that was such a great example that I know I personally can relate to, that I'm making dinner, but it's so interesting. No matter what, I can still only focus on one thing at a time. And I used to tell my students when I would teach in certain settings, if you think that you can do a lot of things at once, busyness, this is just something to think about. Think in terms of when you're driving and you're looking for a new address and you're also listening to the radio. Next time you're in the car, notice what you do. When you go to look for the address, you automatically turn your radio down. And it's because at some point we have to focus on the task at hand. So there's no right, there's no wrong in the busyness of life. Sometimes we have to do many things, but in order to be present, completely present in the moment, and sometimes it's not possible to do 24 hours a day, but we have to take the time to actually focus on the single task. And it's funny, as we do those tasks, we find that we become more and more and more present and productive at the same time. More and more present and productive. Thank you for sharing. That was really great feedback. I'm going to go to the next slide. Creating healthy family dynamics. Now, I have a very large extended family. Both of my parents had 9 siblings.
Wow.
And so we are like in the 6th generation of my grandparents' marriage. So there are a lot of dynamics to contend with. So creating healthy family dynamics. In the chat, I'd like you to think about, what are your supporting roles and what are your leading roles? And then I want you to think about, what is the difference between supporting roles, leading roles, and what is the difference between the role you operate in and your actual self, your actual being? And I know I'm going to need to give you at least 30 seconds to think about that one. So let's think about it, let's contemplate, and then let's share in the chat.
organization, I take on leading roles in all my family dynamics, which my husband, son, and with my sister and my parents, I am the lead nurturer. Supporting role, encouragement.
Give you a few more moments to share.
Supporting role for my children to encourage and empower them. Supporting role, edifying my husband. Inspire and motivate. Help to accomplish goals. And I think that's it.
Thank you for sharing. Pause on this one and share supporting roles versus leading roles. This is something that's really interesting that I love people to walk away and kind of think about. You know, my dad was in entertainment industry, in post-production, in many different roles for well over 40, 50 years. And the interesting thing about it is I got used to storytelling. I got used to having people operate in certain types of roles. And I learned very early on to distinguish between the actual person and the role they were playing. And the difference between being and doing. And so it's interesting because I found that when I had my own children, one of the very first seems like things that I had to contemplate was, oh my goodness, how do I star in my own life while playing these supporting roles to everybody around me? And the thing that I thought was so interesting was I finally came up with a component of, oh my goodness, your roles are not you. I thought initially, and I want to hear in the chat, anybody that can relate to this, and I want to hear your feedback. It took me a minute to realize that, oh, the roles do not have a personality of their own. They're static. It depends on who you put in the role. That's how the role actually comes to life. That's how the role operates. And at first I felt like the role was leading me. And then everything came to life and changed when it dawned on me that the role actually needed Tosca to come to life. And I'm gonna let you think about that one for a few minutes. Every role that we play needs us to come to life. The role can't lead us, we actually lead the role. So interestingly enough, I found that, oh my goodness, I am the star and leading person in my own life. And I started having discernment about how to play or how to operate in these supporting roles. And the discernible space at the beginning of our workshop, we talked about that inner wisdom. Mothers are very interesting because the inner wisdom really comes from being able to discern which role is needed at any given time. And having such a large family like my own, I found that the dynamics got healthier and healthier and healthier when I recognized which role I was supporting and which role I was operating in. I can't get mother kudos in my wife role. I can't get wife kudos in my mother role. And it started to dawn on me that, if I could just have the discernment to determine what supporting role I'm actually in at the time, I noticed that something started to happen. I started to lead from the back, much like a train that has a caboose, much like a fire engine that has a leader in the back. What happens is when you're in the front, you lead from the front. But something to contemplate. There's always a time when we're supporting where we're also leading from the back. And I started to shift. My dynamic started to shift to when I'm supporting, somebody else is shining. I'm not shining, they are. And much like a caboose of a train, it dawned on me that I'm getting them where they're going. I'm making sure that they're staying on track. I'm making sure that they're shining. And then I have enough discernment to know when I should lead from the front and when I should lead from the back. And trust me, it took me a while. I had a lot of train wrecks and crashes until I got that perfect dynamic down. So creating healthy family dynamics, something to think about. What are your supporting roles? What are your leading roles? What is the inner wisdom and the discernment to creating healthy dynamics and great relationships? Simply slowing down enough to realize, and that's my coffee pot, thank you. Simply slowing down enough to realize that the roles interact with each other and the discernment and the wisdom comes with knowing the difference. I'm going to take about 10 seconds and ask anybody, what is your thought as I say that? And if somebody could share in the chat, what comes up for you with that? We'll take maybe one or two, Beth.
Boundaries versus pouring into others. The supporting role in the back of the train and the leading role maker the train go, you need to have both. Love the discerning part, being able to determine how and where you're needed most.
We'll take maybe one more. Creating healthy family dynamics requires definitely the inner wisdom, definitely discernment, and definitely a fine balance between leading roles and supporting roles, and knowing when you need both and how to navigate them at the same time. I'm going to move on to our next slide. Celebrating the gift of motherhood to your family. Celebrating the gift of motherhood to your family. I want you to take a minute, even before I pull up the question in the chat. I want you to look at the room around you, wherever you may find yourself, in the car, in your house. I want you to look at something in the room that's there because you're there. Just one thing in the room that's present because you're there. And type that in the chat. And then I'll give you an additional chat question. But I want you to look around, take your atmosphere in. If it's in the car, if you're multitasking while you're doing shopping, if you're at home, give me one thing around you that's simply there and wonderful, of course, because you're there. And I will give you an example. This tapestry screen behind me is here because I'm here. I saw it, I loved it, I brought it home, and it has become my virtual world background screen. And it brings everybody joy that sees it. There's something about it, but it simply would not be here in the house, period, if I wasn't present in the house. But it's brought joy to everybody. So look in your environment, whether it's your office, your home, wherever you find yourself this morning, and give me one thing in the chat that's simply wonderful and there because you are there. And I'm eager to hear these because I know they're fun. It's just one word, but something that's there because you're there.
Organization in the pantry, closets, garage, kids' artwork, decorative pillows, refill car freshener with flowers, the desk in my office that I built myself, my son's haircuts, the room and house itself. As a single mom, I purchased the house myself. My beloved mom's favorite blanket. Books, family photos. That's 2 things. My kids' memories. My love picture frame from the children with their handprint and footprint. And I think that's it.
Wonderful. So I'm
Oh,
going
wait, sorry. We just got a few more. A
let's
weekly
hear this.
calendar schedule, scrapbook with my family beautifuls moments. There you go.
Those are so beautiful. So answer in the chat really quickly. What is the most valuable gift you bring to your family? What is the most valuable gift you bring to your family? I'm going to give you a moment to think about that, contemplate it, and share it in the chat.
Love. Keeping everyone together in love. Understanding and trying to have a sanctuary of love environment. Unconditional love and structure. Support. Love. Patience. Being fully present. Patience and smiles. Support and love and hugs. Love and a sense of humor. Prayer time together. I think that's it.
I love that. Thank you guys for sharing. Everything that's shared today, I just think is amazing because it's so funny how everything that people put into the chat just kind of warms your heart. And that really is tapping into our purpose for today, celebrating the gift of motherhood to your family. What is the most valuable gift you bring to your family? I remember there's 2 things I want to share before I close. And I'm going to close, of course, with a little video. One of the things I think about early on as I was preparing this, my daughter was maybe 3 years old, and I have a son in college and a daughter, a freshman in high school. And it's interesting because we were watching a program once, and it was one of those programs that was really just kind of pulling at your heartstrings with children in need all over the world. And I watched my daughter, she was maybe 3 years old, and she was just drawn in by the request that they were making on this commercial. And she looked at me and she goes, "Oh, I know what we could get them." And I was like, "What?" She goes, "We can get them a mommy." And it was so, that touched my heart so much because it dawned on me in her little 3-year-old mind, if you have a mommy, oh, she can handle everything. And that so warmed my heart. I think about it even now, and I'm like, wow. Celebrating the gift of motherhood to your family. In her mind, she felt that if you have a mother, well, then she's going to handle everything. Now, one of the things is what is the most valuable gift you bring to your family? Before I answer that and share the last video, one thing comes to mind. My son. I was asked to speak to a group of women at his preschool when he was in preschool because of something I had shared with the director on the, I was a board member in that school at the time. And it was so interesting. I made a chuckle, but she goes, "Oh, you need to share that with the mothers in this preschool." I said, I look at my stretch marks completely differently now. And I'm going to have this quick little conversation about stretch marks because they'll never look at them the same. I said, the irony is, much like stretch marks, when I started to have my children, as I started to progress through the months, sometimes you're thinking, oh my goodness, how am I going to stretch or be flexible enough to accommodate what is happening in my life at any given moment? And as I started to go from month to month to month to month, all the way to the end of my pregnancy, I recognized that, oh my goodness, something amazing was happening. I had the ability to stretch in ways I never thought I had the ability to stretch in. And it went beyond the pregnancy component. When the kids came, I started to laugh. I was like, I got the stretch marks to go through this. I can stretch in whatever direction I need to stretch to accommodate what is necessary for motherhood. So in today's workshop, I do hope that you walk away feeling celebrated, that you walk away feeling uplifted, that you walk away feeling enriched, but most of all, that you walk away realizing that the most important gift you bring to your family is you. And I'm going to let you think about that for just a moment as we literally close out. I'm going to close with a video for the moms. This is my closing video. And I hope at the end of the video, we've covered everybody. Everybody feels represented. You see yourself in one of these slides, but more often than not, when you walk away from this workshop, you feel celebrated as a mom. And that would have been the goal that we had in the clear intention for today's workshop. So let's close out with For the Moms.
For the moms who raised us up, gave us hope, and made us strong. For the young moms who became moms sooner than expected and gave it all they had. For the single moms who had to figure out how to do this on their own. For those who never got called mom, but who cared for us all like a mom would. For the hurting moms who've loved and lost and never given up. For the praying moms who don't always know what to do, but always know. For the working moms, stay-home moms, the cooking moms, and the takeout moms. For taking care of us when you barely had enough time to take care of yourself. For teaching us how to walk and how to make a difference. For the late night snuggles and the early morning pancakes. for sitting with us after our first breakup, for lifting us up when others put us down, for the rides, the meals, the laundry, and the birthday parties, for the years, tears, laughter, and love. It's not enough, but we want to say thank you. Thank you for doing for us what we could never do for ourselves. We love you. We honor you. We remember you. We thank you.
My name is Tosca Stepter. I hope you enjoyed this workshop, and I want to end with saying my time is up, and I thank you for yours.
So thank you, Tosca, for such an uplifting presentation and providing us with thoughts to enhance our role as mothers and use our inner wisdom. Perhaps we forgot we had it or didn't realize we had it. Now, next, I would like to introduce Charisse Moore, who will talk about celebrating a day to honor mothers.
Thank you, Phyllis, so much. And thank you, Tosca. This was great. I do feel uplifted as a mom. And we want to continue that and sharing that joy. And so as Beth shared early on, Charles Wine Company was happy and delighted to sponsor today's webinar. And as a part of what that means, we will be sending all of you who are registered non-Zontans who are registered for this workshop who attended today, a gift card that will celebrate you from Starbucks. So please be on the lookout for that from Charles Wine Company. And thank you again for this delightful workshop.
And so again, I would like to thank everyone for attending. What a great workshop. And next, I would like to ask you to mark your calendars. Our next workshop, oops, wrong flyer, sorry about that. Our next workshop is scheduled for Friday, May the 14th. Usually we have them on Saturdays, but that Saturday is not available. So it will be in the afternoon from 2 to 3:15 p.m. And the topic is You Are Not Alone, the impact of COVID-19 on society and the individual. It will be presented by Larry Schallert, licensed clinical social worker and assistant director of the Student Health and Wellness Mental Health Program at COC. You won't want to miss this important workshop as we move forward to again becoming a more interactive society. Thanks everyone for joining us.
I'd like to just end with one last thing. I wanted to thank Suzette Valladares joining us today from the 38th District, our Assemblywoman, and also a shout out to our Lieutenant Governor who joined us via Facebook from Arizona. Thank you guys for attending, and don't forget to please share with your friends on Facebook and visit our website at scvzonta.org. Thank you guys.